And then yesterday we had a sonogram. They can listen for the heartbeat. So
I think people just interchangeably use sonogram and ultrasound. What is a sonogram? It's sound. Is that what that means?
Sonic. Yeah, sonic being the root.
I think people use these interchangeably, and I just now realized that they're stupid.
Ultrasound you can see.
That also says sound in it, by the way.
Ultrasound.
Right.
Yes. I get it.
They both say sound.
I get it.
But
I get what you're saying.
But people they say sonogram and ultrasound.
People say a lot of things, Casey.
I know.
I don't know why.
I'm not asking you to answer the question.
I didn't tell him to do it.
Observe alongside me.
I didn't tell him to do it. No, that is, yes, people are dumb. But, so we got the sonogram.
You've only recently decided that you're smart, which is, it's been the most upsetting.
I didn't decide I'm smart. I never decided I'm smart.
You passed a test? You passed the goddamn test.
What test?
This guy, anyways, all right, I don't want to ruin this.
I've never claimed to be smart. I'm not a smart guy. I'm certainly not an educated man. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
So, sonogram, they're just listening. The lady says, all right, well, we're still pretty early on. Sometimes baby's in there deep, can't really hear anything. Mm-hmm. She's like, sometimes it takes a while to find. Puts that thing on there right away. Our baby's heart is strong as shit. Maybe too strong. It might just bust out like Kool-Aid guy just on its own. Perform its own C-section.
That'll be nice if we...
A podcast hosted by two white comedians. A stereotype about the blandest ingredients that childhoods didn't prepare them for life. Sexual tension you can cut with a knife. Podcast. Two white comedians. Podcast. Two white comedians.
All right, folks, we're back on the
Hello.
That's how tired I am. I have a podcast called Poor Sports.
Referencing your
this
other
isn't
podcast.
This isn't it. This is the Unseasoned podcast.
It's like saying the wrong name during sex.
Just like that, except for I do the Poor Sports podcast alone.
Just like sex. Yeah. So we skipped 1 week or 2 weeks?
1 week. It was tax week. That was the reason we skipped. Because
I got an extension. Man,
I am so exhausted, and this has been a common theme of this podcast that I'm tired, but I am at the end of a maybe make sure you break the camera, get the frame rate up so we can see it in super slow motion. I was looking it up, actually. Let me look. I think that it starts with when I opened for Dr. Brady Smith in Enumclaw, but let me confirm that. So February 6th, I opened for Danny Jolis at Spokane Comedy Club.
Talked about that.
The next weekend I'm off, except for Make Me Famous, which I canceled because we did... Is that when we did Ocean Shores? Yes, it is, because we get back from Ocean Shores. I open for Whitney Cummings, etc. We've talked about all this stuff. Open for Gabe in Portland. And since then... I mean, this is like a 6-week stretch of, or maybe 7-week stretch of, I recorded and opened for Andrew Slater in Portland, and then I went to Portland with Ron on last weekend.
Yep.
I've just been driving all over this goddamn earth. I did the I've driven back and forth to and from Portland 6 times in the last 5 weeks. 6 round trips in the last 5 weeks. Because I went there with Ron on last week, which Ron on Hirschberg, by the way, very funny comedian, recording a special soon, has multiple specials out on YouTube. But he's fearless in ways that I'm like, I'll never be, not even in the ways that you think about, like, because he lives in New York and he's part of, like, the actual comedy industry. So the ways that you can be fearless out here oftentimes are just, like, racist.
Yes.
Like, you're just like, oh, you don't have the fear to not say a racist joke. He's, like, talking shit about comedians on stage right now. Is like his next hour is like a lot of talk about. There's like a lot of inside baseball comedy stuff that's funny. I won't give it away. Go check out his special when it comes out. But that was great. It was the second time I've been in Helium. They have a small room there. Did you know that? It's like 100-seater called the Neon Room. It's they're working on it, folks. It's the first night, dude. I was like,
is that a new addition to Helium? Oh, okay, gotcha.
I was I was excited to go down there. Two times ago that I worked with Ron on it, Tacoma Comedy Club. I've been working with Ron on for years. You know, we did shows with him. Well, you like helped produce a show with him.
Yeah.
He finally like 3 months ago goes, dude, you like actually got good. I was
nice.
like, oh, thank you. That's so nice. Because it was like,
Nice.
I think he liked me and thought I was fine. But it was like he was like, oh yeah, you're like actually good now. Not like me saying you're good, so you'll help me produce.
No, there was definitely a difference when I was gone for that 2 years and then came back. Like the difference from where you were at when I left.
If we're just doing
and
a
where I
Suck My
came
Dick
back,
podcast, I love this.
it was fine.
It's fine. No, you've paid me some of the nicest compliments I've ever received in comedy also, by the way. But so ever since
That
then,
doesn't feel good.
you said what?
I said that doesn't feel good.
Why is that? Because you just have worse taste than everyone else. You're the only one. You're the first person to like a bad thing. Is what you're saying? They mean more from your friends.
Yeah, that's true.
So then a couple months later, I work with Ron on it, and it's like same material. He's doing the same material. I'm doing the same material. A little bit smaller crowd, but I mean, just significantly worse results.
Yeah.
And then night one in Portland, I drive him down. Fun drive down. I mean, he's a very neurotic guy.
Yes.
So we're talking through a million things, and he's hates everything that he's doing, that everyone else is doing, that every club is doing, etc. But fun drive, talking shit about comedians. I did at one point. He's talking about conspiracy theorists, and he goes, so and so doesn't even believe we landed on the moon. And I was like, I go, oh, well, do you believe we landed on the moon? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, I don't believe that we landed on the moon. And he's like, because it's like I have two conspiracy theories, two real ones. I don't think Tupac died that night in Las Vegas. I think he's probably dead now, but he didn't die that night in Las Vegas. And I don't think we landed on the moon. But here's the deal. I'm not animated by them in any way. It doesn't make me love my country less or anything like that. It's just a thing that I believe.
Yeah.
I'm not like telling other people this unless it comes up and we're on this podcast. I'm not even ashamed of it. It's not because I'm ashamed of it. I just don't think about this very often, right? It's not something I'm obsessed with in any way. I just watched that special that they put out like many years ago, and I was like, oh yeah, it seems like the most probable thing, in my opinion, is we didn't land on the moon. Not a good idea when you're like, I'm like partway down to Portland, and that becomes the rest of the drive, by the way.
Yeah.
So we just are on it the rest of the
great.
drive. We're he's very funny too, because I work with a lot of comics that like maybe don't want to talk that much right before they go on stage, or they want to be funny before they go on stage. He's just like berating me about the moon landing right as I go on stage. And then, by the way, I put down a hot bomb. He put down,
nice.
like I would say, I put down a bomb, and then he put down a set that made me feel less bad about my bomb, because it was like we both struggled.
Okay.
Next night was like pretty good, and then the next night was like very good. I will say the late show Friday was very good. We had like 3 in a row that were good, but it was it is a little bit jarring to go from like we're debating about a very fine point in politics when we agree on almost everything, but he is like. He's a smart guy and a very opinionated guy, and when you disagree with him, he's gonna grind it down to a fine point. And by the way, this is something I'm well equipped for.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say not dissimilar from yourself.
Yeah, I would say if I'm like an 85 in that, he's like a 99. Like he's rated 99 in the Madden game of debating shit that debating the
I
finest
wish
points.
I could have been in the back seat of that.
No,
car.
you don't, because you would have fucking hated it. Because you've only recently encountered like the full like spectrum of debate, and I can tell you don't like it. It doesn't mean it's not going to stop, or it doesn't mean it's going to stop. But I can tell you don't like it, and I can tell you don't like it based on the distance between texts, the time between texts.
Well, you always try to debate me while I'm at work, doing work.
Yeah, well, that's the time where you should be fucking off.
I don't have time. I don't sit down at work. I sit on the
you should
toilet.
be standing around pacing, trying to
sit-
figure out what's going wrong with this goddamn country with me.
I just get increasingly frustrated while already doing a thing I don't necessarily like to do every day.
Yeah, and then not only increasingly frustrated, also can't respond because of the
Just torrents of text. Just, oh my God, like a book he sends me over and over.
I'm trying to help you. So anyway, but yeah, this is like part of the reason we get along. I will say, like, it was very funny. I got in the car and we're driving, and his fiance calls him. He's engaged now to a nice lady. I met her once before. And she said hi to me, which she probably just says hi to anyone who's in the car with, but it felt like she really remembered meeting me. And she met me like a couple years ago, and we had a funny gig. Ronan's doing very well now in comedy. We did a gig in Seattle at this venue that I guess I'm not going to name because maybe I want to work there again. But it's a straight up door deal, but it's like kind of a fucked up door deal for comedians.
Gotcha.
And at the end of the night, the host made $50. I made $75, and our friend Ronan Hirschberg made $25 because it was a straight up door deal. It was
For one show or two shows?
one show. It's not even the venue you're thinking of, I'm sure. It's like an independent venue. Still, not good. Not good.
That's that's so fucked up.
And also, by the way, that trip, that was when I met his fiance, which is brave to bring your fiance to a show where you're going to make less money than your openers.
Yeah.
I do think they put you up in a cool Seattle hotel, so it's probably offsets the actual like total compensation. Mm-hmm. But then we went to a pizza place, and he still talks about this pizza place. He's like, you recommended the worst pizza place. Okay. Tell me this. Whose fault is this? Because you go to a pizza place, I'm not responsible for what you order. What I'm saying is crust is good, cheese is good, sauce is good. Mm-hmm. This motherfucker ordered falafel pizza, and I'm not exaggerating.
Well, you can't. How do you judge any pizza on a falafel pizza? That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's crazy. So anyway, yeah, we had a good weekend. Long drive back. It's nice. I had got up at 5:30 with my wife Thursday. Drove me and Ron down, but we only had one show, so I got home at like midnight. Got up at 5:30 again the next day. Was hoping to take a nap, but it was the NFL draft, and I got asked to do this podcast, the Seahawks Forever podcast. So in order to do that, I drove down to Portland early so I could be like in a parking lot and do it over my like on Zoom or whatever. It's not Zoom, it's StreamYard. But so I didn't take a nap. So I was like 2 nights of very limited sleep, waking up early. That second night, I had 2 shows. So we get done at midnight-ish.
Yeah.
And I'm driving. Man, that was the closest I've come to being like, I got to pull off to a rest stop and just like sleep for a couple hours so I don't die on the road. In fact, the last 2 rest stops between here and Portland, I stopped at just to like get out, stretch, like kind of give myself like 20 minutes of fresh air energy, you know? Got home, just slept like a rock, but then my daughter had a soccer game at 9 a.m. So get up for that. This is why I'm coming back, by the way. I could have afforded a hotel in Portland, but I was like, I got to take my kids to school, and I want to go to my daughter's soccer game.
Yeah.
And so I sacrifice for them, and I finally, dude, we got back from the soccer game, and I'm like, we went to breakfast, Got back from the soccer game, and I'm like deliriously tired at this point. And my wife was like, I put the baby down for a nap, and she's like, we're gonna go out to the car. We'll be in shortly. Whatever. Before they got back in from the car, I was asleep.
Oh wow!
I was like out, and I slept for like 3 more hours, and then went down and it was kind of funny. So we had like probably the Saturday early show was sold out ish. Mm-hmm. Other than that, like half to 3/4 full. Cam Patterson of Kill Tony fame.
Oh yeah,
was at the. I'm gonna decide if we're gonna cut this story out. He was at the big club, the big room, mm-hmm. and was like selling out, sold out every fucking show. They're adding shows.
Yeah.
And then they add a show on Saturday at 4 p.m., but he gets a call for an audition, so he flies out of Portland, leaves Portland.
Shit.
That show gets canceled, and then he adds a show on Sunday early, which ends up Sunday late, which ends up, there's this dude that's buddies with Rana named Luke Moniz, who's a very funny comic, lives in New York. You would probably know him if you saw him. He's like, I don't know, whatever, decent following on Instagram, really funny comic. He was supposed to headline the Sunday at 7. He gets bumped to the small room by Cam Patterson.
Yeah.
But so Cam Patterson is a guy, really new comic, blew up from Kill Tony.
Yeah.
I don't have negative feelings about that, honestly. Like, I that's like, whatever, like you just like that's the new Johnny Carson. That's the new. At least there is a Johnny Carson, right?
Yeah.
I've never done the show. I don't have I'm not like dying to do the show. I've never tried to do the show, but Cam Patterson's selling a shitload of tickets. They told me what his contract writer was because I was talking to. I got to tell you this contract writer. This is the part that I can't. And the third thing, I'm going to tell you the 2 things that I know are correct. And then the third thing is either actually true or spiritually true, but I can't remember the exact third thing.
Okay.
The first thing on his contract writer, he's got 3 things on his contract writer that I'm aware of. This is a tough time to do this symbol, by the way. Didn't mean it the way you guys think. I used to do that symbol long before. Cam Patterson has on his contract writer, according to these guys, Black and Mild.
Yes.
Red and blue Kool-Aid. not blue raspberry and cherry Kool-Aid. Red and blue Kool-Aid. And something along the lines of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. That's the one that's like either actually true or spiritually true.
Gotcha.
Here's what I have to say. If you asked me to guess Cam Patterson's writer, and I guessed it perfectly accurately, you would think I was David fucking Duke, dude. That would be the most offensive possible answer. I will say, like, of Helium and of Cam Patterson's fans, there was never a moment where it was like obvious there was another show going on. Like, it wasn't too loud. They staggered the times right. We barely ever encountered. The only Cam Patterson crowd that we encountered was when we were leaving the last night, and this guy gave me a joint, which I gave to our friend James Fitzmaurice.
Yeah.
He just gave me a joint. I don't even know why. I don't think he knew I was a comic on the other show. I started talking to him because he had a Cam Patterson poster, and I wanted to see. I was like, how much was that? Because I'm interested in the merch. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, hey man, do you want a joint? And I'm like, I don't smoke weed. I'm good. And he's like, I don't smoke weed either. And then just handed it to me anyway. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I have a joint now.
Yeah.
Ronan doesn't smoke weed, so I just had to give it to someone else.
Gotcha.
You got some news to talk about that's a little more important than our.
I got a second. Bring that up. The Everett family is growing.
Wow.
Is increasing by 1. I added an Everett in December. Added another Everett.
Yeah, this podcast has not been around for very long, but you've tripled the size of the Everett family.
Yeah, growing exponentially.
Wow.
I'm taking over.
Are your siblings not named Everett?
No, I'm the only Everett.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore. I'm starting a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Starting a whole new family, new traditions.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
That's
I'm
nice.
very excited. We had right now, currently, I think we're at like just coming up on 12 weeks. But we tried, I think, like immediately after. We were trying before we got married. I mean, not trying, but just like not trying not to get pregnant.
Yeah, I used to have a joke about that. They call it pulling the goalie.
Yeah.
You ever you've heard that term?
I have.
Do you know where it originates?
Other than hockey, no.
Hockey is where
specifically,
when a team pulls a goalie strategically, what are they doing?
I don't know.
So this was the joke. It never worked on stage, so it's probably gonna bomb here. Because you think of it, it's like you take the guard away from the goal, so it's easier to get it in, right? You take what pulling the goalie is in sports is you're down so bad, and your team is so desperate to win that their one last ditch effort is to pull the goalie out and bring another person up to try to score. And I feel like that is a good metaphor for the reason a lot of people have kids. It's just to save a failing relationship.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Let me tell you. No, but we.
Do we have another announcement? Is that what
not that I'm going to bring up on the pod. I've just seen it firsthand not work.
Sure.
So we got, I guess it's called chemically pregnant. There was a chemical pregnancy
I've heard of this.
Early on. So like basically first try got her chemically pregnant, and then it pulled the ripcord. What is it? The ejection seat. It got out. It quit its job. It quit its job as a child very early on, like a week.
Wow.
She was like a week late. Had I guess what's called a miscarriage. It doesn't seem like a miscarriage that early. It seems like there's got to be like an entry level miscarriage. They call it something. A miscarriage just sounds crazy for
entry
only
level
a week.
miscarriage is a crazy thing to say, but
and then we wanted to time it such that the wife's work schedule was coming to an end before she got pregnant, so she could finish out this summer. She has a kind of a seasonal job.
Because now you're going to forbid her from working ever, right? Because she has become part
at
of
least outside of the home. We're trying to find like something that she can do from the house, at least part time.
You're gonna because she's part of your property now as the Everett clan grows.
That's why we got married. That's why she took the last name.
You allowed someone to lease her for a couple months after.
Yeah, I rent her out. But no, we want her to be a stay-at-home mom, but that's a mutual choice.
By the way, that means you have to make this podcast very successful, folks, because this guy does not make money.
I do pretty well, actually. But
he got defensive there. It got too real for him. He stopped doing improv.
I've increased my income like by quite a bit in the past year.
Folks, this man is making 5 figures.
Anyway, you got me all fucking angry now. I just got home from work. Now I'm angry. No, but so we gave it some time. We stopped trying. And then we got back to it, and bingo bango, baby. I got
bango.
My sperm swims better than I do, apparently.
Wow.
They're just quick, ready to go. They know it's the end is near for old Jess. I'm an old man. They're like, we got to do something.
We got to get out of here.
One of us has to make it.
They're going to bury us alive with this man.
They were acting like a roller derby. Like they got it's 2 sperms slinging 1 sperm forward. So yeah, got her pregnant. We had an ultrasound last week. Saw just a freaky, they look so weird that early. They don't.
Have you ever seen, if you haven't, you should check this out. It's like a meme, but it's why we do ultrasounds and not MRIs. I'm going to show it to you during the podcast. I can't not show you because it's fucking insane. But yeah, go tell me more about your...
So we had the ultrasound, everything, all the measurements, everything's good. Right when they put because I got to dig around and then adjust the depth that the ultrasound is going into the womb. So it's like you've been there.
I've been there.
You've been there.
I've done been
Folks,
there.
you've been there. So she's like zeroing in, trying to get it, and then like right when we get on the baby, just starts jumping all over the place, like it was ready for action, ready for the camera. Gonna be a star, hopefully. God, I hope they do something good with their lives. I don't have a good retirement plan.
By the way, this is an all. Maybe we'll, or maybe you just search it yourself, folks. This is what a baby MRI looks like.
Oh, yeah. I've seen MRIs of myself like that,
Right.
where they go in and out of the skull. It's very freaky looking. Anyway, so ultrasound went fine. Measurements, everything's perfect. And then yesterday we had a sonogram. They can listen for the heartbeat.
So I think people just interchangeably use sonogram and ultrasound. What is a sonogram? It's sound. Is that what that means? Is
Sonic.
that
Yeah, sonic being the root.
I think people use these interchangeably, and I just now realized that they're stupid.
Ultrasound, you can see.
That also says sound in it, by the way.
Ultrasound.
Right.
Yes. I get
both
it.
say
No,
sound.
I get it.
But
I get what you're saying.
people both, they say sonogram and ultrasound.
People say a lot of things, Casey.
I know.
I don't know why.
I'm not asking you to answer the question.
I didn't tell him to do it.
Observe alongside
I didn't
me.
tell him to do it. No, that is, yes, people are dumb. But so we got the sonogram.
You've only recently decided that you're smart, which is it's been
I
the
didn't
most
decide
upsetting.
I'm smart.
Oh,
I never
would you
decided
pass
I'm
a test?
smart.
You didn't pass no goddamn test.
What test?
This guy. Anyways, all right, we're gonna. I don't want to ruin this.
I've never claimed to be smart. I'm not a smart guy. I'm certainly not an educated man. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
So sonogram, they're just listening. The lady says, all right, well, we're still pretty early on. Sometimes baby's in there deep, can't really hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, sometimes it takes a while to find. Puts that thing on there right away. Our baby's heart is strong as shit. Maybe too strong. It might just bust out like Kool-Aid guy just on its own. Perform its own C-section.
That'll be nice if we cut that other part out. you just give me a weird look Kool-Aid guy.
Yeah, but we got we did the gene testing, and we'll find out what they have chosen as their sex. And
what is it? Fucking 2018.
But yeah, everything so far is going well. Iron levels, beautiful. Whatever she's doing, I said on our way there, I said, we're doing a good job. They're going to say, whatever you're doing, keep doing that. Sure enough, we got in there. She said, I don't know what the hell you're doing. I don't know what you're doing, but keep it up.
I think it's probably you walk in and their expectations are like, oh no, this is not going to be a healthy baby. Look at this man. Look at the man that created this baby. There's
That's
no
fair.
way.
That's fair.
There's no way this is a healthy
I came
baby.
in shirtless. I was flexing. I was like,
They were like, this is terrible. This baby's not making it out.
She did tell me, I was told, because there's only so much I can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got to be a support. So I'm asking questions. I'm in there. I'm asking questions. She said my questions were very good. She's like, we don't score people on their questions, but if we did, you'd be up there. And
Whoa.
I was pretty proud of that. Who's the idiot now?
We had an experience with our midwife the first time around. A woman that I have a ton of respect for, but who has many skills that exceed mine in many ways, right? But what she does not, where they do not exceed my skills, are my understanding of statistics and probability. And she would cite statistics that were like so obviously wrong. And I would be like, for me, that's like, you go like, I mean, very shortly, and I decided like if my wife prefers this woman, if she's comfortable with her, then I can't be the guy I can't be like you got to pick a doctor that I'm comfortable with. Like it's your, it's your lady, whatever.
Yeah.
But she at one point goes, you could start telling people at 13 weeks because the miscarriage rate drops. Or what did she say? The survival rate drops to, or it goes up to 90% at 13 weeks. 90%. She's saying, go ahead and tell everyone because there's a 1 in 10 chance this baby By the way, this is not true. It's over 99% at 13 weeks.
It's over 99%.
Yes.
Okay.
To me, if you say 90%, I understand what that means. I'm not just like one of these dumbasses that's like, well, 90 sounds like 100.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And for
see.
most people, when they hear like 75%, that just means 100 in their mind. For me, 90, I go, well, that means a 1 in 10 chance. I'm not telling anyone because it's a 1 in 10 chances, and that's not the right. And I'm like arguing with her, and there's this great Tommy Johnigan joke where he goes, he's like at a house party with his wife, and she's like, don't argue with anyone in this party, please. Like, please don't argue with anyone. And then they were like, we got to the dinner table, and this woman, I can't remember what the story, but it's like she said something about like a full moon, and I started to argue with her, and my wife grabbed my leg under the table because I could tell she wanted me to win this fucking argument. And it was like, I was thinking about that joke as I'm like deciding to stop this argument with this lady.
Right.
And I, by the way, she ended up being great. I have a ton of respect for her. I also have a joke about her heckling me the first show I did after she was in the audience the first show. I did at Tacoma Comedy Club after, but
so
great questions. You got so many great questions.
I had good questions. We have so when this comes out, we're well beyond 13 weeks.
Sure.
I hung out with my brother recently, and it's like so weird having that information and like not saying anything because he's like, so how's married life? And I'm like, it's good. You know what I mean? Like, married life has been wonderful, but it's tough. I've been telling like comics and like very like low risk people, you know what I mean?
It's so funny. The first two people I told that were not like, whoa,
the hell?
The first two people I told were three people. Comedian Robert Kelly, who there's no risk. He didn't even know who I was before this, so there's no risk. And then comedian Manny Martin, who I'm friends with, but like was no risk to put. And then another guy named Mark Vieira, because it was just like, it was all hitting me this like New Year's weekend that I was working with these three guys, and it was like all like, I was watching Mark Vieira had his wife and son in the green room, and Manny was like, I think he has a kid now, but he did not at the time, and we were just like, it was just like, this is the last New Year's that I'm gonna have before this is like an argument to do this show.
Oh,
like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Also the last with our last kid, so we try to I've always found out a lot of people confide in me early that they're having a kid before before the time. And but like with my wife, we were like, we're going to try to just like, because we had like Thanksgiving at our house, and I was like, if she's not drinking, people are going to be like, yeah, you're pregnant, duh.
Yeah.
And so we got her like non-alcoholic beer to drink one or two of. It's not like that. That's not like a crazy amount of. And we decided that night, it was like the same thing where you're like a couple days away from actually telling everybody.
Gotcha.
We decided that night, we're like, let's just say it tonight. So literally we were like, we're having another kid, and my dad's girlfriend goes, I knew it. I saw that on alcoholic beer. I fucking knew it. And I was like, oh yeah, this was not a great, I didn't put it in the cooler, but I'm like, we should have been hiding this in the back.
I was going to ask if you were like pouring them in the kitchen, and then she just had it in a glass. So
my wife does not believe anyone can perceive anything, because she's like, yeah, I just didn't even think about it. I'm like, you would like, if you were a spy, or you would just get just executed immediately. Have you reached the point yet where it's like scary at all?
It's been a whole wave of all of the emotions.
Yeah.
There was, I think early on, we were both going through a lot of different stuff. She was getting scared. I was freaked out of just like And I definitely got that thing that people talk about where like when you're having your first kid, it like lights a fire under your ass and you're kind of just like, oh, I'm like a provider for another life now. I was so worried that wasn't going to happen to me. So thankfully it did. That's been wonderful.
You were worried that the fire wasn't going to light.
Yeah. Because there are people that have kids and like they're just like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I guess like I mean this with like not disrespect, but like there's been stretches that I've known you where there was not much fire.
I've never had any fire.
Right.
I've had no fire. I've been a wet blanket my whole life.
I think in comedy you've had stretches of fire where you've had some fire under you, but it was because you cared about comedy.
Right.
I think in day job stuff, no fire.
No, certainly not.
In fact, the opposite. You were trying to extinguish the fire if you ever saw smoke, you were pouring water on that.
Yeah, I never wanted to be there. Now I'm like working extra hours. I'm getting up early, showing up early, and like, you know what I mean? Really, I'm like, if I have a short day, I'm like, well, I got to make up those hours. Whereas before, like, especially because I was paid, I was paid like piecework before. Now I'm paid hourly.
Sure.
So like the hours actually matter. Before I was paid piecework. So I could finish a job quick. And then it's like, well, I don't, you know what I mean? I don't have to stick around. And I really took advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. I know I golfed with you 2 years ago.
Now I'm like, I'm a hardworking young man. I'm trying to put money away for the family, trying to figure shit out.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very excited. We both had like kind of that freak out moment. Now, after seeing the ultrasound, we're just like excited. We're both stoked. And I mean, obviously there's still like 6 months left of more emotions to come. And as we get closer to the actual birth, it's going to start getting scary again. But yeah, we're in a really good. I'm the happiest I've been that I can remember. I'm never a happy person. I've always had like an element of sadness at all times.
Sure.
And this is, it's weird. I'm like so much quicker to laughter. I've always been.
Not for my text. Holy shit. Not for my comments on this very podcast.
I've always been like pretty much at the precipice of tears at all times.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not a happy. I'm happy now. I've not been a happy man historically. A lot of depression, a lot of all kinds of bullshit. But now I'm not focused on me like really at all.
Yeah.
And that was what I was so sick of thinking about myself.
Yeah.
So now it's just like everything I do is like in preparation for this kid and like trying to provide the best life I can for this beautiful human being. But we saw the ultrasound and I was like, I want to do this 1,000 times. I don't ever want to stop having kids.
Oh my God. Well, if you are going to have a stay-at-home mom and a homeschool child, then that's the duty is to make like 75 of them.
I want to have an army of children.
I want to know this. You're not going to know this until you actually experience it. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. There's like a satisfaction. I would for me, it was a satisfaction of like, I did it. Like this thing I've been waiting my whole life to do.
Uh-huh.
And I've never not wanted kids. I didn't always think I would get married, but I was like, I'm all for sure, shoot a hot one at some point and create a kid on accident, like at the worst. Just to be like, and it's not like I've been dreaming of having kids this whole time. I just had wanted kids. I knew I wanted kids. Just that generically, I wanted kids. And you go like, oh shit, I did it. I got one coming. I did the thing.
Yeah.
It's just a waiting game now.
Yeah.
And I felt like a ton of satisfaction. And then I'm going to tell you, when my wife went into labor, you go, fuck, was this a mistake? Did I fuck up? Did I? Not like, I'm not saying it takes away all the stuff you're talking about. Like, I think you'll still have the fire and you'll still have the Because now you're going to be worried about your wife and your kid as they come out and finding an apartment so you could live away from them and all that stuff. Like you do go like, you're like, oh fuck, this is like really permanent. Because and this is someone's joke too, but it's like you go, you start dating someone, you move in, and you're like, now this is serious. And then you get married, and you're like, that was bullshit. This is serious,
right?
And then you have a kid, and you're like, oh fuck, like this is. There's no going back now. You are in my life until I die or you die.
Yeah,
because we got this fucking life we've created together, and it, luckily in my case, I'm very happy that person's in my life, my wife, but. I mean, it is like you're like the permanence sets in all at once.
Oh yeah,
and it's like again, it's like it's not even like I never have regretted having kids. Like genuinely never regretted having kids. I think I said in that joke just a second ago, like, oh, do I regret this or whatever? But you're like there's like a seriousness. Because right now you're thinking about like playing ball with your kid and cradling this little cute baby, but then you're like. Fuck diapers. I got to change diapers all the time. Like when we get done with this podcast, I got to go pick both kids up, take one kid to soccer, try to entertain the other one the whole time the other one's playing soccer. Also watch enough of the soccer practice to be able to comment on it later. Then take them all to dinner, like, because I'm not going to cook tonight, but typically we'd be cooking and because my wife isn't available. And it's just like, it's like real life. It becomes part of your real life. Right now it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
Right now, and it's a great, and you're going to enjoy it. But there is a part where you're going to be like, and by the way, all that shit I'm talking about, like, I wouldn't trade it. I know a bunch of sad single fucking losers with no kids that are like, oh yeah, you get to watch Last of Us. I don't even know what that show is, motherfucker. I got a 6-year-old that I got to take to goddamn soccer practice, and I'll never watch the show. But
great show, by the way. I didn't want to like it.
Don't get used to fucking watching anything.
I did not want to like it.
Actually, that's not
actually
true.
Like it.
You have 3 more years of being able to watch whatever you want, and then your kid's gonna start to retain what's on TV.
Right.
And you're like, oh,
yeah.
We had 2 moments. I was listening to a comedy podcast in the car, and luckily my daughter said this before she went into daycare and not actually in daycare. She was, what's a motherfucker? And I was like, ah. And also we were watching like Law and Order SVU. I have a joke about this that I don't really do that often, but yeah, we were watching like Law and Order SVU and all kinds of like dirty comedy stuff. And then she goes like, what's rape? And we're like, don't shut that shit off. We can't watch this anymore.
Yeah.
La 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 la. I mean, I don't think she literally said that, but it was like something as like jarring as that, where you're like, fuck, we gotta change our whole lives.
Yeah. I am. I'm glad because you were talking about you always wanted kids. I always wanted kids. Like as a kid, I always like planned on being a father.
Sure.
I wanted to be the thing that I never got to have.
Yeah.
And
and the way it's going to change the way you look at your parents and your in-laws and your siblings as parents and all that. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. But yeah, like, so I wanted kids. And then when I hit my teens, I didn't plan on living past like mid 30s. I was like doing drugs. I didn't care about shit. And then went a long time. I was in a serious
that is really
relationship.
Depression. It's the most annoying version of depression, but that is depression.
Yeah. Yes. Weird things happen when your mom dies when you're 16 years old.
What, were you a ball of joy before that?
I mean, I was significantly happier, but I mean, like, I didn't have like an easy
my understanding
life.
is you were doing some drugs in advance of that.
Yeah, but not like I was doing.
You cranked it
after. Yeah, I literally cranked it up. I was doing methamphetamines. But that's a funny special name, cranked it up. But
I think "Crank It Up" might be the name of this episode.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't want it to be your special name. We got to steal all the good names for this poorly listened to podcast.
But yeah, I was in a 9-year relationship before the one I'm in now. God rest her soul. She's no longer with us. Not because I didn't. It's after we broke up. But
sure. That's what William Shatner says too. Holy shit.
But yeah, we didn't want kids. Like I had no plan for it.
Gotcha.
And then probably halfway into this relationship, like as you get older, like there's that clock that kind
Yeah.
of starts ticking. And I was in a good relationship. We were very happy. And so it started to make sense. Like, oh, okay, like now. And then we talked more and more about it. And then now there's nothing I can do. We're having a kid.
Yeah. It's like, it's in a way, it's like how I imagine, like, there's got to be a piece when you're like falling off of a cliff and you're just like free falling and you're like it's literally out of my control at this point.
Yeah.
Then you splat onto the ground and die, I think. But I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I also think, like, for me, it was to really like have the drive to want them was related to I wouldn't have wanted kids with any woman I dated before my wife. Now, had it happened, I'd have figured it out and I'd have been a half custody dad or something like that, whatever that's called, split custody. But like I wouldn't have wanted to have those women in my life romantically either. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like I don't think that I'm like, and maybe it's because my parents had me out of wedlock. I think yours did too. Maybe?
Oh yeah.
Were your parents ever married?
No.
Okay,
no.
so there was no part of me that had like there was no tradition to be upheld or some sort of like, my parents didn't set some example of like, you have to marry the person and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It was like, I just assumed it would happen on accident at some point. And then I would love that kid. But first off, we had kids I was 33. You're 51?
I just turned 51 actually.
Okay. Oh yeah. You lose track as you get older. Yeah.
Yeah.
30. Are you 39 or 40?
40. Just turned 40.
Turned 40. Did I say happy birthday?
No.
Did you announce it?
No. I don't have my birthday on any social media or anything. Every year, every previous year, I think with the exception of last year, because I haven't golfed in like 2 years, we've golfed on my birthday, and I just happened to mention that it's my birthday.
At the end of the round.
At the end of the round, I say, oh yeah, it's my birthday.
We golfed on one of my birthdays in the pandemic too, because we like did all the birthday stuff, and my wife was like, well, do you have anything like you want to do the rest of the day? And it was like, I think probably the earliest golfing I did, because it was like at a time when shit was still a little bit shut down everywhere, but golf was one of the first things that reopened. Yeah, I just think you're gonna enjoy it. I think it's gonna be good. You're gonna be very tired. You don't understand the level of tiredness you're gonna experience. I do think another thing too, by the way, is when you get to a certain age, you're 40, the wheels start to come off if you don't create a life to do whatever you want, folks. Like I don't want to be this like I'm not trying to be a Christian conservative that's here telling you got to have kids, but I do think like now that I'm watching my friends, and if you were watching this, friend of mine, and you think this is about you, it for sure is. Like I'm definitely talking about you and many other people. It's not just one person, but the friends that I have that are in their late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, 50s that don't have kids, they're a little kooky in a variety of ways, but it's like you needed a dog at least. Could you have gotten a dog? Could you have gotten somebody else to care about?
Yeah. No, I am glad though, because I am 40. My mom was 38 when she had me.
Shit.
I can't imagine I was.
She
on
almost
purpose.
could have died of natural causes.
If I was on purpose, what a terrible decision. I won't get into the details of like my father and the timing of my conception, but the whole thing is just a shit show. It was not good. That's it actually.
We'll
coming
protect
back,
the memory of your mom for the podcast's sake, and you can tell me. I think you'll tell me about it later. I don't think we need to bring it up on the podcast.
It's the reason why I only am the only Everett.
I think I know that. I know that much. I would like to tell you that this is like the most recent episode that's been out. We reference that we're not going to tell a story until after the podcast to each other.
Oh, yes.
We're going to do this again. I have recently found out in the last year some circumstances of my parents getting together that I'm like, oh, you dirty dogs. You dirty dogs. You never told us. You never told us, but we're smart. We found it out.
Yeah. No,
my sister figured it out.
I had a bit of a revelation just, I think, a year or two ago, found out the timing of my conception, that I had a different story in my head. Similar, but this extra detail really just like, what the fuck are we doing? You're too old for this. You're too old for this. Anyway, I'm finally happy that I'm here. It was a long time to get there, but I am happy to be having a kid later in life, because it took me a long time to figure my shit out, but I've been through enough now where I feel like significantly more prepared for a kid than I would have been at any other point in my life.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I was 33 when the first one came. I would have done it at 25 if my wife didn't stop us. 37 on the next one. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, the only thing that I regret is I'm tired. I'm so tired. And I know that I still would have been tired if I was younger. Mm-hmm. But I just like my ability to like regain energy is significantly reduced, or to power through. And I do a lot, man. I'm operating on no sleep very often. Mm-hmm. I'm very productive on no sleep, but it is, I am reaching where I feel like my workload in life is increasing as my capacity is decreasing. Right. And I'm just like, oh dude, I gotta start cutting shit that I don't care about as much, because I'm out of bandwidth, you know?
Yeah. I am like, there's definitely the thing like where when my kid's 40, I'll be 80 years old.
Oh, you'll be
like,
long dead.
I had an old mom going through school, and that was weird because like nowadays it's like way more common that people are having kids in their later 30s. Dude, so I think like our kids will probably be, the parents I'm meeting will probably be closer to my age than they would have been a few, like 10 years ago even.
I had the idea of a joke written down about the idea, because I was 33. I was like, all these fucking 21-year-olds at my kid's school, and my kid goes to school in a nice area, which probably pre-selects the school, or like the parents, like the ages of the parents a little bit. Yeah. But dude, they're all my age or older. A lot of them are older than me, and I'm like, oh shit! Like, it's a public school. It's not like I'm there. She's at some private school. It's a public school. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess everyone's doing this.
Yeah, things are definitely different now, which it's I'm thankful for, because my mom was like, she's like having anytime I'd spend the night at a friend's house, well, I got to like talk on the phone with that parent, and she's talking to people that are like 20 years younger than her.
Dude, there's so many of those things that you took for granted as a kid. Like, our kid has not had a sleepover yet, but there's a couple where I'm like, she has a friend, and I'm like, I don't know about that one. I don't know if I want that to be the place she goes to.
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust those parents. And these are people, by the way, they're 40. Like, it's not like they're 21. These are, I mean, it's just like again, it just changes your opinion on so much of what your parents went through. Or your parent went through in your case.
Well, we have so much more exposure now to terrible stories of, like people fucking around with kids, like, kids over at another parent's house, and like stuff goes down. Like, we didn't hear I don't know if this was true for you. You're what, 2 years younger than me?
Yeah,
year and a half. But when I was in school, like elementary school, it was like pedophiles had just been discovered. It was like all you ever heard about was pedophiles. I was like, I had this, I remember doing this thing where they take a picture of you, they get your fingerprints in case you're like kidnapped. It was just like, that's all any adult was ever talking about growing up. It was like this new discovery of like, oh, some people are terrible people.
I think that's one of those things that is, I mean, it doesn't make it not scary now. It doesn't make it not scary now, but it is a little bit comforting to be like, it's objectively less dangerous to be alive right now than it was 30, 60, 90 years
Yeah,
ago. Like
yeah.
there's less violence, there's less sexual violence, there's less any of this stuff that we're worried about. It's just that we have social media and you get to watch like a guy beating up a child molester in Walmart every 40 seconds.
Yeah.
There's like a never-ending supply. It's like if that's like our most sustainable resource is like special needs people to beat up over texting with what they thought was a minor.
Right.
Yeah, it's but I don't think it changes your like I mean, I know this stuff intellectually, but like the guardrails of what you let your kid do. It's like I'm like I can intellectualize that it's safer than it used to be, and then I got to do all these things without parental supervision.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
walk to school. Not at 5, the age that my daughter is. Like, I didn't get to walk to school at 5, but I'm like imagining when I will let my kid walk to school. The answer is never.
Right.
In my mind right now, anyway. The answer is never.
Yeah.
And it's a little further walk, but it's not that much further. And maybe we'll live closer to the school she goes to by then. But the answer is never. I'll never let her walk these streets. And my parents did, and I never felt like I was in danger. But now we're just blasted with essentially propaganda that's making us all feel scared all the time. Yeah, it's crazy. And then by the way, try to tell that to a person who is from like, I mean, your in-laws are the only option you have because your parents are not around.
I'm an orphan.
Because you're a baby orphan. But to tell them that it's safer now.
Oh.
And then they let you be, they were so much more permissive. Because they also think, by the way, they're like, oh, you can't let kids out now. And then you tell them that it's safer, and then they take everything you say about how you would, this is my parents and in-laws perhaps, maybe not, yours are perfect, mine will never, yours will never act this way. I'm not talking about those, I was almost said their last names. But there's a part of them that takes every decision you make that's different from the decision they make as an indictment of their parenting.
Oh, right.
Because they're like, well, we did this, and like, well, we're not going to do that. They take that as, oh, you think that's bad? You think that thing I did was bad? And it's like, one, yeah, probably, but also, I'm pretty forgiving. Like I'm especially that's another thing you get is way more forgiving because you're like, first off, do you remember? You might again. I hate. I'm not. Normally, I would be making fun of you for having no parents. I'm being more sincere right now. I don't know if your mom, if you got old enough with your mom to realize she was like just some lady, where you're like, my dad and my mom. You're like, these are like when you're growing up. You're like, these are all knowing, like magical beings that gave birth to me, and they know everything. They know what's best for me. They know what is going on in the world. And then you're like, oh, you're just like you're just a dude,
right?
You're just a lady, and you're like flawed, and you have biases, and you have like gaps in your intelligence or knowledge or whatever, and you're like just doing the best you can, and you kind of start to respect that, where you're like, my parents never stepped foot on a college campus and still managed to raise like 2 reasonably intelligent kids that didn't end up in prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, my mom died when I was just about to turn 17. So it was like definitely that was starting, you know what I mean? But it was kind of a different situation because she was also battling cancer for the last, you know what I mean? Like the last
By the way,
2 years of that.
That would have been crazy if she's like she's like bedridden and you're like, you're just some lady.
Yeah.
You're not right. You're just some fucking lady.
Yeah, there were certainly some distractions, I would say, at the time. But this is like the most serious podcast.
Yeah, but it's,
I like it though. I like serious stuff. I like getting into deep shit. And
we got some laughs out of these people. I think we wrung a couple laughs out of these pieces of shit that are listening. By the way, Jess needs money. I got 2 kids. He's got a kid on the way. You got to start. We got to find a way to make money on this podcast. So
spread the word.
Otherwise, it becomes one of these things that like
smash that like button. Don't
Jess
you hate
is
that?
gonna quit this podcast if you don't make it make money.
I have to. No, I won't. I won't.
Or
I might have to do
I'm
it
gonna
from
quit
afar.
the podcast if you don't make money. All right, we got to end it.
Is it over? All right. Bye, everybody.